Okay, so I just did 6 months worth of music production and video production work on my new M4 Max MacBook Pro, and the results were pretty astonishing. I'm Reid Stefan, realest puppet in the game, and this is my full review of the 16-inch M4 Max MacBook Pro. So this laptop has not only exceeded my expectations, but unlocked new workflows and capabilities that I didn't even think were possible. I got this laptop as an upgrade from my M1 Max MacBook Pro that's been my primary computer since 2022. It was already really fast, so I wasn't totally convinced that I needed to upgrade, but looking back, I am so glad I did. Because as soon as I started using it, I quickly realized Apple has seriously raised the bar again. So in this video, I'm breaking down all the improvements from CPU, specs, Retina Display, fan noise, built-in speaker quality, microphone quality, camera quality, headphone jack quality, and so much more. So first, let's jump into the specs. These are the two computers that I'm going to be comparing head-to-head throughout this whole video. This laptop I'm reviewing features 4 terabytes of SSD storage, 128 gigabytes of RAM, and of course, the new M4 Max chip. And the specs for my old laptop are 4 terabytes of SSD storage, 64 gigabytes of RAM, and the M1 Max chip. When it comes to SSD storage, I prefer 4 terabytes because once I've imported my Time Machine backup, all my personal files, DAW's plugins, synths, Dropbox, and applications, I've already taken up about 1 terabyte. I already keep my song sessions and virtual instrument libraries on their own dedicated SSDs, like these SanDisk Extreme 4 terabyte drives, which you can get for way cheaper than Apple's internal storage solutions. However, internal SSDs are capable of way faster reading and writing speeds than external SSDs, which we can test using an app called Disk Speed Test by Blackmagic that's free in the Mac App Store. These are the readouts for both my internal and external speed tests. So to summarize SSDs, if you're only doing music, you can maybe get by with 1 terabyte, but if you're doing music and video production, 4 terabytes would be my personal minimum. Next, let's break down the RAM. This can be a confusing subject because certain aspects of music production benefit from extra RAM, but others not so much. If you're the type of producer who primarily uses software synths like Serum, Massive X, Sylenth, or any other oscillator or wavetable-based instruments, you won't benefit from the huge RAM upgrade. You'd probably be smarter to invest your funds more towards CPU. But if you're the type of producer or composer who heavily uses sample-based virtual instruments like Kontakt, Nexus, Omnisphere, East-West Sounds, anything with a large file library attached to it, you'll definitely feel the benefits of your RAM upgrade. For music production, 64 is plenty. Going beyond that could be overkill. So for me, where 128 gigabytes of RAM benefits is in my video production workflow. When I'm editing YouTube projects with lots of camera layers, camera angles, different video codecs on the timeline, or chopping long continuous video recordings, that RAM can really come in handy. But again, if I only did music production, going past 64, in my experience, can be kind of pointless. If you want to hear some side-by-side examples of M1 and M4, playing back some really heavy projects, check out the timestamps below to jump straight to the section that you're interested in hearing. But the last spec that we need to talk about is obviously the processor chip. And this has the greatest overall effect on how fast your laptop feels across the board. For music production, M4 Max MacBook Pro takes speed and power to another level. And I didn't even think this was possible. The number one life-changing improvement for me was how M4 Max unlocked the 32 buffer size low latency workflow. A buffer size this low really helps both your MIDI controller and microphone feel nice and tight whenever you're recording. One of my favorite stress tests that we did was a studio session on Kara's YouTube channel where she produces, records, mixes, and masters an entire song with every type of instrument and plugin you can think of running simultaneously, all using a 32 buffer size from start to finish. We literally could not get Logic or the CPU to overload with even our heaviest drum bus plugins, master chain plugins, and oversampling all at the same time. And these incredible speeds are not just Logic Pro. I do the same thing in Ableton 12 and Pro Tools all the time and get extremely smooth results running a 32 buffer size. So yeah, my music making workflow has never felt smoother. All this extra processing power and speed has also benefited my video production workflow, allowing me to apply more effects in my projects, motion tracking objects, masking things, beauty filters to hide my aging skin, and even smoothly editing 4K multicams, 60 frames per second, using my trusty fleet of Sony FX3 cameras. Video editing and playback in Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere, DaVinci Resolve, and even CapCut are all perfectly smooth and seamless on M4 Max. And by the way, If you like my video production techniques and want to learn how to do this for yourself, I also sell full-length courses teaching video production, Adobe Premiere, and Final Cut Pro, linked in the description below. But back to the review. Now that we've talked about our M4 Max MacBook Pro specs, let's take a look at the design and overall ergonomics. I chose the new space gray color, which I think looks slightly nicer, but fingerprints are definitely more noticeable and appear more heavily on camera. M4 Max features their new anti-glare Retina Display, which is extremely helpful when working around bright studio lighting or near direct sunlight coming through a window. As you can see in this side-by-side, the M4 has a much smoother viewing experience with less glare than the M1, which is a huge plus for my needs. But other than the external color and the display type, the M4 Max keeps the same general shape and dimensions of the previous M1 Max MacBook Pro, which I really like because I think this is its best form ever. They've brought back the classic MagSafe charging, plus 2 Thunderbolt ports and a headphone output on the left, an HDMI and a third Thunderbolt port, and SD card slot on the right. Your webcam and ambient light sensor are in a notch here at the top of the screen, and if you look really closely at the speaker grill under the right lighting, you can see the points where the microphones are located, and we're going to be testing the sound quality improvements in the listening portion of this video. The number one most important thing I care about when I upgrade my computer is the CPU performance, and I like to test that by opening an extremely demanding project with tons of virtual instruments, synths, vocal chains, mixing plugins, and master chains all at the same time. And this 80-channel Ableton session has all of that going at the same time. So let's turn our buffer size down to 32 and see if these computers can handle the heat. Hey, this sounds pretty smooth so far. But let's try turning up some oversampling. Jeez, 8X is working buttery smooth. This is a 32 buffer size with 80 channels and tons of virtual instruments, just blasting through this like it's nothing. The CPU's not even near 100%. That's insane. So let's switch over to M1 and see if we can get the same results. I can already hear some little pops and clicks, but it is playing back at 32. Uh-oh. Yeah, this is definitely struggling. Oh. I mean, it's kind of playing. But I'm a little nervous what might happen when the rest of these instruments come in. Ah! Ah! Ah, my computer! Well, let's try oversampling, see if we can do this. Next, let's try exporting one of these sessions in an offline bounce to see the difference in speed between M4 and M1. You can already see that M4 Max is moving quite a bit faster than M1 without even fast forwarding the footage. But now let's go ahead and play it sped up so we can get to the final results of the audio bouncing test. To bounce out the song we were just listening to, the M4 Max took 1 minute and 23 seconds. Now that's really impressive considering the M1 Max took 2 minutes and 31 seconds. That's about a 40% increase in export speed between M1 Max and M4 Max. Nice. Next, let's try a slightly different task where we're exporting a 90-minute vocal recording through Isotope RX11 Dialogue Isolation. This plugin is really good for removing unwanted background noise or room reverb from vocal recordings, but it takes its sweet time to bounce audio out. So I feel like this is a good plugin to stress test for a bounce race. The M4 Max bounced out the long audio clip through the RX plugin in 3 minutes and 43 seconds, whereas the M1 Max took significantly longer at 6 minutes and 16 seconds for the very same export. Even though export times seems kind of insignificant, if you're constantly bouncing stems or exporting different versions of your songs, this could really add up to save you tons and tons of time in your professional work. Next, let's disconnect from our audio interface and hear how the built-in speakers sound in a head-to-head laptop speaker comparison. We're going to be listening to both laptops through my Sony C800G microphone in an acoustically treated room to get the best possible perspective on what these laptops really sound like in person.
I do it big, I do it better. I'm living life out on the run, I'm a go-getter. I do it big, I do it better. You know that I'm the number one. I do it big, I do it better. I'm living life out on the run, I'm a go-getter. I do it big, I do it better. You know that I'm the number one. I do it big.
Vibration, high rated, elevated acceleration. School you like education. I'll play dumb, but I ain't playing. White flag, I ain't waving. No cape, I ain't saving. I got rich, I didn't save it. I do it big, outrageous. Long road, that's how I paved it. Lifestyle with a gold crown. Home run, I don't strike out. It's my time, let's go round. Turn it up, never turn it down. Big boss, cash cow, big dog, bloodhound. Major move on the biggest
I do it big, I do it better. I'm living life out on the run, I'm a go-getter. I do it big,
I do it big,
I do it better.
I do it better.
You know that I'm the number one. I do it big,
I do it,
I do it better.
I do it better.
I'm living life out on the run, I'm a go-getter.
Both laptop speakers sound really good, but the M4 Max felt like it had just a little bit more low end and punch in the dynamic range. Now let's get a little bit more daring and record an entire vocal through the internal laptop mic. I think you're going to be really surprised at the sound quality improvements between the M4 and M1 laptops. Let's listen to some lead vocals recorded through the M1 Max.
Turn it up now, we can lose our minds. Feeling our body high.
In M4 Max.
I love the volume. Turn it up now, we can lose our minds. Feeling our body high.
Now let's add some plugins from Logic Pro.
I love the volume. Turn it up now, we can lose our minds. Feeling our body high.
And switch to M4.
I love the volume. Turn it up now, we can lose our minds. Feeling our body high.
Now let's hear them in the mix with music production, plugins, and a master chain.
I love the volume. Turn it up now, we can lose our minds. Feeling our body high. I love the volume. Turn it up now, we can lose our minds. Feeling our body high.
The difference was small, but I felt the M4 Max microphone had a little bit more brightness and bass presence, whereas the M1 microphone was more present in the mids. They both sound really good for a demo vocal, or just recording a vocal sample, or simple idea. Next, let's throw on our headphones and see if we can hear any difference in audio output quality between these two laptops. Every headphone jack has different converters, and they may have changed the converters over the different generations. If they did, then that would have a direct effect on how good your headphones sound. So let me take a listen and see if I can hear any difference. I'm going to use some Beyerdynamics DT1990 Pro open back headphones because these require a pretty solid amount of juice and a hefty headphone jack to sound right. I wasn't expecting there to be a difference, but the M4 Max headphone output sounded a little bit better as I was switching back and forth. Much nicer clarity in the high end, the dynamics, and just a little more pleasant to listen to. So for this, M4 Max definitely wins. Finally, let's do a battery life comparison. I'm going to charge each laptop up to 100%, then leave a music project looping until the laptop completely dies. Then we're going to compare those times and determine which laptop has the best battery life. This beat is one of the stock demo projects that comes with Logic. I left it looping to kill the battery as fast as I can using full speaker volume and full screen brightness, and the M1 Max lasted 3 hours and 37 minutes. And I was expecting the M4 Max to last a little bit longer, but boy was I surprised because this thing lasted all the way up until 5 hours and 10 minutes. Once again, we're looking at about a 40% increase in battery power and efficiency. Now that's really useful. Finally, we're going to get into video production playback. I'm going to open up one of my biggest, most recent DaVinci Resolve projects that I helped film for Kara's channel, which is actually a review of the new M4 Pro Mac Mini. And we're going to see how smooth it plays back on the M1 and M4 Max laptops.
On the new M4 Mac Mini.
Let's take a look.
And the finished results sound like this.
Okay, it's a little bit skippy. The transitions kind of got jumpy too. But it looks smooth at times too. That's a little skippy. This definitely could be smoother, but it's playing back pretty strong. Let's play the same project on the M4 Max.
From scratch on the new M4 Mac Mini and the finished results.
Okay, now this looks buttery smooth. The speed ramps didn't get skipped over. My keyframes showed up nice and smooth. This is looking way more buttery. The M4 Max is definitely a way smoother video playback experience, but if your projects aren't too heavy, you can easily get by with M1 Max, as that's what I was using for the past few years, and it worked for me, so it should definitely work for you. Now, let's export our project and see which laptop can render a YouTube video quicker. This is a 28-minute YouTube video, and the M1 Max processor exported it in 19 minutes and 31 seconds, which is already not bad if it's bouncing out quicker than it takes to watch the video. Now, the M4 Max did bounce out a little bit faster at 16 minutes and 18 seconds, but for video production, we're not getting those massive 40% gains like we were getting with our audio production apps. I mean, 3 minutes off of a 20-minute bounce time is a pretty nice reduction, but it's definitely not a massive improvement like we were seeing in the audio apps. Extreme video tasks like these are pretty much the only time you're ever going to hear the fan come on. I've never had it come on working on music projects unless I was bouncing a 90-minute audio file with an RX plugin on it. So that's exactly what we're going to do to get these laptop fans cooking and listen side by side to the M1 Max and M4 Max fan noise to see if there's any difference. Listening back to both the laptop fans, the M4 Max almost sounds like the fan's working a little bit harder and it's slightly more pronounced, but like I said, I've only gotten the fan to come on during really heavy video tasks or extremely long audio exports. During music or audio recording or regular studio stuff, these laptops are completely silent and there's nothing to even show you. Finally, this last one is kind of the icing on top of the cake, and that's the webcam quality comparison. When you're having Zoom calls with potential clients, talking to your business partners, friends, and family, you really want to look your best. And here you can see a side-by-side between the webcam quality of the M4 Max MacBook Pro and the M1 Max MacBook Pro. This is my main camera that I use for YouTube live streams or anything that I do through OBS, because it's just there and it works perfectly, and you know you're not going to get any error messages. The M4 webcam doesn't look massively improved, but it is slightly sharper and ever so slightly wider than the M1. Overall, not a bad webcam. So finally, the big question is, who do I recommend this upgrade for? If you're a beginner or upgrading to your first nicer computer, the M1 Max MacBook Pros can be found for a really good deal under $2,000 new and on the used market as low as $1,200, and the price is probably dropping by the month. M1 Max is not slow by any means, and considering how affordably they can be found, pre-owned or new, these are an incredible value. But when it comes to wanting the best and having the fastest, latest, and greatest technology, the M4 Max absolutely delivers. It's been a while since a computer has really unlocked new workflows in my studio. It's always been a small jump here or there, but after trying M4, man, I am so happy that I upgraded because I, to this day, still wouldn't be using a 32 buffer size, doing all this insane multitasking, videos with multicams, or any of the fun stuff that makes creating fun and unique. Special thank you to Apple for sending me this M4 Max MacBook Pro and specifically asking me to run it through its paces on camera and push it as hard as I can. If you want to check out all my links to the courses, templates, products, and everything that I mentioned in this review, I'll link everything in the description below. So thanks for watching all the way to the end, and I'll catch you next time in another video.